You open up the meeting, introduce the purpose, and then throw it back to me for a roll call. Mr. Linehan, just let me do a quick roll call. Mr. Linehan. Mr. Finnegan. Mr. Cantor. Mr. Rourke. Mr. Roches. 5 present.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kevin Murphy, 63 Newberry Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. I am here before you tonight to ask you for your consideration to remove the Article 97 restrictions associated with the Colley option for a new high school. The prepared vote is about the process for further studying all 4 high school options submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority. This is not a vote to endorse one option versus another option. Just over a week ago, the Lowell City Council voted unanimously, 9-0, to move forward 4 high school options. Although I am not speaking for any council member, I suspect one or more members may not endorse all 4 options. However, they do endorse the process and voted to allow it to continue with Colley as an option. As one of the efforts to satisfy the removal of Article 97 restrictions, our landscape architects have replicated the 2 fields in question, the Martin softball field and the field hockey field. These 2 fields will be located on the existing parking surface on the Douglas Road side of Colley Stadium. I will ensure, and I will promise you, that these 2 fields will be made of synthetic turf. In addition, I will also include funding in the future capital plan to place synthetic turf on the Cavallo soccer field. Providing synthetic surfaces on the fields will increase the permitted usage, allowing the general public more opportunity to use the fields. This situation will be much more advantageous than having the existing substandard fields. In addition, I am currently seeking to acquire additional land around Colley for field space. Also, our Department of Public Works and Parks Department are in the process of developing a number of fields at what is known as the Manning Field area off Boston Road. I would like for the first time to show the Board of Parks our future plans, which we have been working on for close to a year. And I would ask Mr. Bellegarde to describe for you what our plans are. We own approximately 10 acres of land behind Manning Field off Boston Road, and we are developing this plan to increase the number of athletic fields in the city. Could you please explain it without that disruption?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Through the chair. As indicated, this is a project that's been going on for over a year now, and it's something that we're actively working for over the next several weeks and over the next year to complete. And that is basically, for those of us that know the Manning Ventura sites, we're looking at putting a full-size varsity soccer field, a full-size proposed junior varsity field, and a practice football field. These projects that are in place through the normal protocol, and the reason why our board has not seen them as of yet, is because of the fact that there's a subcommittee meeting on March 21st that would review all recommendations, ultimately pass them on to the board of, to the full council, and then ultimately on to the Board of Parks. So what ultimately ends up happening, and we've done thousands of these, and has some of the members that date back numerous number of years with me. The process would then go into immediate plan specifications, engineering, and surveying. Our goal is, by this time next year, you're going to be able to go out to Boston Road and basically see this in its completion. These lands right now, if you went out there today, these lands right now are virgin, city-owned property. The trees, it's construction looking, does not exist today. The fields in the back, the area in the back right now does not exist today. So as we talk about developing new opportunities, recreation opportunities, this one came into play. And because of the protocols that we normally follow, we feel it's prudent that we reveal this to you folks tonight. That being said, I feel confident that the land, the acreage, the total acreage of the city, which when you look at through the chapter, the Article 97 rules and regulations, what you're going to lose at Cawley, you're going to definitely end up picking up here at Manning, at Boston Road, Also, what the managers indicated, which I think is very important to the board because we struggle with permitting opportunities at Cawley Stadium, by giving us artificial surfaces at Cawley Stadium, one being the all-purpose varsity-sized field that will be, right now it appears to be going in the parking lot at Cawley Stadium, along with anything else that the athletic director needs, softball fields, girls field hockey fields, anything he needs, he'll be able to put on that field. Because it's a turf field, it can last the test of time. More importantly, Cavallo Field. We all know, for the folks of us that go out to Cawley Stadium and try to permit Cawley Stadium's Cavallo Field, it's a very limited permitted field. We restrict it. We find ourselves at times closing it, resting it for months at a time, and for good reason. We're trying our best to keep Cavallo Field up to varsity standards. And by the manager directing me to put in this year's capital plan, the ways and means to make this an artificial surface changes the whole concept of how we'll be able to permit this going forward. We're going to now have a field that can be permitted 7 days a week, 10 months out of the year, in all weather conditions. That one piece alone is going to give us the ability to permit it threefold to what we're doing right now. One could almost argue that it would equal 2 fields, 2.5 fields out there. And the other side of this is we are now going to get the fields at Cawley Stadium up to A standard. And when you look at Cawley Stadium, our game field, when you look at Cavallo Field, our proposed synthetic soccer, all-purpose soccer lacrosse field, and you look at the field that the new proposed field that we're looking at installing in this plan, we're going to actually have, I believe we're going to actually have more permitting opportunity at Cawley. We're going to have more ability to allow more people the experience of Cawley. And last but not least, I just want to say, the calls I've been getting talked about the permitting process with high school sports, the fears from non-high school residents that because permits will be tight, that they may not have the opportunity to get the Cawley experience. This is going to allow us to provide all of that and more. And it's going to provide, as I said, safe and A1 fields throughout the complex. And I think it's an exciting time for us. And when we were talked told that Cavallo Field would be artificial turf. I really believe that's a home run for all of us.
Thank you.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you. Can you just hit the green light on?
Thank you, Commissioner.
This is the largest high school project in Massachusetts and the largest project in Lowell's history. I urge the board members to vote unanimously to lift the Article 97 restrictions, to allow the process to continue. It is paramount that healthy debate on all four options is equal, so as to when the decision is made on one final site, fairness will have prevailed. Thank you, and if you have any questions of myself or my staff, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Okay. Mike? What people are going to speak?
Yeah, you want to.
Okay. At this point, we'd like to open it up to people that have registered to speak. When you come up, please fill out your name and address on the piece of paper up there, and also tell us the same thing. We're going to follow the regular rules that the City Council has, that we're going to limit it to 5 minutes. And again, as you had heard, I'd like to be specific on Article 97 restrictions, not to the value of its downtown or out to Colley Stadium. Okay, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick thing. I have a short list here of people that have registered beforehand to speak. I will exhaust that list, and once that is exhausted, I'll invite anyone that wishes to speak to the podium. When you reach the podium, please put your name and address on the piece of paper that's provided up there, and also enter your name and address into the record. First registered speaker is Laurie Elliott.
Hello, good evening. It's been a long time since I've been here. My grandparents, parents, siblings, daughter, cousins, aunts, uncles, friends, and I all attended Lowell High School. I'm a proud graduate of the class of 1982. I personally attended Lowell High School during the construction of the 1981 building. I was actually a junior when the new building finally opened. I can attest to the fact that the construction process was disruptive, and I can vividly recall my freshman English class with Mr. Keeley bursting at the seams. But most importantly, and the reason why I'm here to speak this evening, is personal in nature. One of the fields slated to be lost during construction is dedicated in honor of my late brother, Tommy Machado. My entire family, my mother, my father, my sister, Tommy's widow, Lee, and all of us are in agreement. And we can all say how hard is it to get an entire family to agree on something. Yet we do. We feel strongly, knowing Tommy better than anyone, that if the choice is between keeping a practice field named after him or providing the students of Lowell with a first-class facility, he would have chosen the latter. The high school belongs at Colley. It's always belonged at Colley. It's obvious to anyone viewing it objectively and honestly. Our family feels that losing the field to gain a world-class high school is the best choice. If we have to sacrifice the field named for Tommy, we are prepared to let it go. If we can let it go, if we can see the need for progress, if we can put aside our personal interests for the greater good, we would expect that you could do the same. We will be losing something that would have kept Tommy's memory alive long after we're all gone. Something that means a great deal to us, but what we will all gain and far exceeds our personal wants and desires. Sometimes we're faced with a decision where we have to put our own wants and needs aside for the greater good. Sometimes we have to see beyond our own personal agenda and take a stand that may challenge our own self-interest. Our family is more than willing to do that. We're asking you to do the same. Your role is not to stand in the way of the process. Your role is to make sure that the final decision is made, if it involves the taking of open space, to ensure it is as minimal and with the least amount of impact as possible. Your responsibility is to work towards replicating the space elsewhere. It's not to vote to remove a viable site from the discussion because of personal impact. If the Colley site dies here, it will be, I think, a travesty for the residents, for the students, and it will forever impact the opinion of the rest of the city towards one section of the city. And justified or not, that's what's going to happen. I believe that that will be the legacy of the vote if Colley is arbitrarily removed from consideration, and I honestly don't think that's good for our city. I ask you to do the right thing, and a little shout out to my husband, keep the Colley dream alive.
Steve Conant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Linehan. Stephen Conant, I live at 34 Beresford Avenue in Lowell. For those of you who live in Belvedere, I'm the street you cut down when you want to skip the traffic at the intersection of Rogers and to get down East Merrimack Street. I'm here tonight to speak about parks. I know you have a big vote before you. This is not about the school site, but about parks. And those of you who know me know that I have spent a good part of my career talking about parks. Article 97 in particular, and I want to say that Article 97 will apply to the Colley site, but it will also apply to the downtown site. I'm not sure that folks are aware of that. So just a little background. When I come to talk about it, I'll get to my conclusion initially, which is that I'm going to ask you to vote in favor of moving this along. Because as a city manager mentioned and everyone else, that all of these sites deserve the full consideration. I understand how it feels to have a connection to a particular park. In my career in this city, have been personally involved in the creation of Jack Kerouac Park, Jolene Dubner Park, the Edward Street soccer fields, Concord River Greenway. Some folks know me and associate me with the Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust, which is an organization that I started with some other folks over 25 years ago. That organization of itself has protected over 30 acres of park and green space in this city. Parks are very, very dear to me. So when I say I want this to move along, it's not because I don't believe in the parks. It's because I think what you have in front of you is something that is good for the parks. Let me say a couple of things about that. The process that you have before you tonight is not something we had in place 25 years ago, sadly, when we lost North Common and Shaughnessy Fields as a vote under Article 97 to convert those city school properties to school use. Article 97, just so people are aware, is an amendment to the Massachusetts Constitution itself. It's not a general law, it's the Constitution. And it was first put in place by a joint session of the House and Senate in August of 1969, then voted again in May of 1971, and finally went before a statewide election in 1972 to be enacted. And what it's for is, it simply says, it is the people, that's us, of the Commonwealth, have the right to clean air and water, freedom from excessive and unnecessary noise, and the natural, scenic, and historic and aesthetic qualities, etc. And to override that, you need a 2/3 vote of the legislature. Well, unfortunately, that was happening a little bit too often. I have actually, I can hand copies of this if you could. Sure. What happened was that the State Office of Environmental Affairs found that this was happening a little bit too often. Because the home rule petition for Article 97 is fairly common and can happen fairly quickly. If it doesn't affect me in North Adams, why do I care if Lowell wants to convert a park to a school use, which is what they did 25 years ago. So in 1998, the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs put together a policy. And that policy is really what you're talking about here tonight, which requires a vote of you to move this process along, a unanimous vote. So it's simply about a policy. You're not voting tonight on Article 97 per se. That's what the legislature does. That's what Senator Donahue does. That's what our delegation to the State House does. That's what they will vote on. What you are talking about is what there may be some repercussions through future grants, et cetera, and the need to create other play fields to replace what's going on. But the legislature and the city can move ahead with or without your vote tonight, quite honestly, to do Article 97 and go forward. I'm saying that the best thing for the parks is to actually vote to move it forward and not to vote against it. Finally, I'd just like to say, and I mentioned earlier, that the Article 97 actually applies to the downtown property as well. So right now, as you know, I attended Lowell High School. I graduated in 1974. My father graduated in 1940, and my daughter graduated in 2011. It's situated right on Lucy Larcom Park. Lucy Larcom Park. It's the oldest park in the city. When you put the walkways that are over that park right now, you are actually violating Article 97. I presume, I'm not sure that those walkways that are there now are actually, had the legislation passed, I can't affirm that, but I know that the new walkways that are shown would actually trigger the need for Article 97 to be passed for that site as well. So folks need to be aware of that. Finally, I want to state that in my past career, I was the planner for the Lowell Heritage State Park, and one of my jobs was to actually acquire the rights in 5.5 miles of canal system, which included the recreational rights, but also the historic rights. Included in those historic rights are the air rights over all of the canals within the city. Those air rights would apply to, and that would include Merrimack Canal in particular. So the state of Massachusetts, the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs, actually owns the air rights over the Merrimack Canal. So if you want to put new walkways on the downtown site, you will have to actually get an easement from the state in order to do that. And that, too, would require Article 97 legislation. So all of this, whatever site we pick, we're dealing with Article 97 legislation, and it will have to be passed. And what I would say, in order to put everything on an equal footing, I would encourage you to vote to move this forward and let the city council make the votes that they need to make on the difficult decision that they have for this city and the future of our school systems. Thank you.
Maria Sheehy.
Hi, Maria Sheehy, 1 Adam Terrace. I want to begin by thanking the city manager and Tom Bellegarde for their very detailed presentations that we just heard about manning Ventura Fields. I'd like to note, however, that I really think that the rest of our community ought to have had an opportunity to be here to hear that presentation as well. I'd like to note that to the extent that this body intends to take any formal action or vote this evening, I think it's entirely out of order. Under the open meeting law, the public has a right to be informed of the purpose of a public meeting. The list of topics to be addressed at a public meeting must be sufficiently specific to reasonably inform the public of the issues to be discussed at the meeting. The public has a right to know what you are doing here tonight. The general notice to the public about this meeting was that there would be a meeting of the Board of Parks, and the stated purpose was to discuss the Lowell High School project and the submission of the preliminary design program to the Mass School Building Authority. This notice does not even suggest that any formal action will be taken. It doesn't suggest that there'll be any action by this body to declare any property surplus. It doesn't indicate that there's going to be any vote taken. There's no mention of Manning or Ventura Fields, and I question whether the abutters to those properties would like to be here tonight. We're talking about an issue of significant impact on the city, a serious issue that is not only highly controversial, but one that potentially involves hundreds of millions of dollars of public money. As the city manager stated, this is the largest high school project in Massachusetts. We're talking about Article 97, a state law which requires a very strict process prior to releasing the recreational restrictions on this property. I think this body needs to be very careful not to take any formal action tonight or vote to the extent that the notice does not comply with the open meeting law. Regarding any proposed declaration of surplus at Colley, I'd just like to ask this body, on what basis is it declaring this property surplus? On the basis of this presentation tonight? Were there any studies taken? What factors has this been based upon? Does the square footage that's represented in that diagram that the entire community is seeing for the first time tonight, does it exactly duplicate, or at least duplicate as required by law, what we are supposed to be duplicating? We don't have the answers to those questions, and I think the rest of the public has a right to be here to hear the answers to those questions. We currently have a sports facility at Colley Stadium where almost all Lowell High School students who participate in outdoor sports participate at the end of each day. As a woman and a mother of 2 young women who have spent the better part of both fall and spring athletic seasons over the past 7 years participating in sports at the Colley Stadium location, I can tell you that these fields are very much needed and most definitely not surplus. It is not lost on me that it is the girls who are expected to take one for the team in this project. In any relocation of Lowell High School to Colley Stadium, it's expected that softball and field hockey fields will be moved to Manning Ventura, and the girls at the end of the day will get on a bus and go someplace else because they're not going to have room for them on this campus that we want to create. I think it's unfair. In this day and age, are we really prepared to say that girls should only have full rights to these fields if we have extra, if we have surplus? Aside from the fact that I think this presents legal questions under Title IX, which are enforceable by the Department of Ed, and which the city will probably deal with in the form of private party civil litigation over the next several years, what does this say about our community? Apparently in Lowell, young women aren't as valuable as young men. I'd just like to urge this board not to take any formal action tonight. Thank you.
Jennifer Ryan.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Ryan. I live at 131 Burnham Road. It's a little scary up here. I wanted to speak for a minute. I wanted to thank you for letting us speak tonight, but I also wanted to speak a little bit about the current plan for Colley to go forward in relation to Article 97. You hear a lot about why women have to march, why we have to have an International Women's Day, and then I have to stand in front of a board and ask them not to substitute the current competitive field that the women have for softball to a diminished multi-use field that they would have to use with other sports team. This field was donated by a family who saw the inequities of the playing fields that women athletes had access to, and then it was improved on by state funds. To take this field would be an insult to women athletes as well as a violation to Title IX. We have 4 girls, all athletes, who use these fields. We have 2 Lowell High athletes right now who engage in activities in these fields at all times, as well as a 12-year-old whose city lacrosse team utilizes these fields. We're asking you to understand that these fields are not surplus fields. Thank you.
Adam Prill. Adam Prill. He left. That's what we have marked down, Mr. Chairman, so if you want to open it up.
Anybody like to speak? Please come forward, register your name, piece of paper.
Hi, my name's Jim Peters. I'm at 30 Chauncey Avenue in Lowell. And the only issue that I have that has an effect on the green space is the fact that I'm not sure where the parking is going to be. According to a city councilor that I interviewed last week, there are going to be 850 cars that have to be parked in that area. And I'm not sure where the parking is going to be, but it won't be on the left side of the arena. It's a major question, I think, that we all have to answer, and we're going to have seniors with cars, we're going to have teachers with cars, we're going to have a lot of cars on that area, in that area, and I haven't heard anybody talk about where the parking is supposed to be. So that's just my issue. Thank you.
My name is Corey Erickson. I live at 36 West Meadow Road. I was not registered to speak tonight. It wasn't until I saw this demonstration of Manning and Ventura Fields. I also have an issue with the purpose of this meeting. My understanding, it was Article 97 and the fields and their surplus state. I've resided in the city for 44 years. I was a custodian at the school department at Lowell High School during the last renovation. I've been a city employee for 21 years. I've coached girls sports for 17. I've been at those fields actively and the Collie complex for the last dozen years. I wasn't motivated to speak. I'm willing, like a lot of people, to entertain both sides of the argument, weigh the costs and the benefits of the educational benefits, the sports benefits, and the benefits that I see that aren't spoken about often, but that's regardless. The reason that I came up to the podium to speak is the placement of these the placement of these fields that are supposed to serve as replication for fields that are presently located at Collie Stadium. The purpose is to have this main encompassing campus that all students can use, and I see fields that are principally utilized by females that are being relocated to the other side of the city. And I'm confused by that. These fields aren't even built. This is the first time that the public's seeing this demonstration. I'm confused by that as well. And I'm irate that we're talking about female fields, because that's what we can call them, and public use fields as well. I mean, Pop Warner uses them, girls lacrosse uses them. These are city programs that come before you as a board over at the DPD every year. I'm involved in the city's largest basketball program in the city that operates in the summer. There's 500 kids. We come before you for permitting, just like the directors of these programs for these fields here. So a campus at Collie that's supposed to involve these fields for Lowell High School athletes, we have a demonstration on the night of this meeting to replicate them on Boston Road. So you're talking about building a high school that abuts Tewksbury and replicating fields that abuts Chelmsford. I'm confused by that process. I'm confused by this meeting. And I'm not happy about the replication of the fields on another site. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Armin Hebert, 499 Wilder Street, Lowell. I hear a lot of talk here about tonight. Martin Field, for 10 years or better, my daughters played high school sports on Martin Field. I got 2 daughters that are in the Lowell High Hall of Fame due to Martin Field. But as I hear tonight, I didn't plan on speaking, that they're being replicated at another site. They're gonna put the new Martin Field right in front of Collie. That field, I went through a lot of it with my daughters about that because they don't want to move it. They want a state championship there. But we're not here to discuss if they're putting a school there or not. We're here to discuss Article 97. Article 97 requires you that you replace fields or wetlands, double wetlands, if you're replacing wetlands. They are replacing the fields that they will be taking right there in front of Collie Stadium. So it's just a plan to give you people an idea that with Article 97 moving forward, they will be replacing those fields on site. Those will be extra fields from what I get that the city was going to build eventually anyway. But the 2 fields they will be taking, Martin Field is right there in the front of Collie Stadium, synthetic fields, which is one of the best things they can do. They should do all the fields like that because now it's a 30-year guarantee on them fields. You can use them 24 hours a day if you want. If they burn out before the 30 years, the manufacturer replaces it for free. So I think we should stick on the subject of Article 97. I have 4 daughters, so I can't see where they're saying they're taking women athlete out of it. I was one of the biggest supporters of women athletes at Lowell High. Thank you.
Anyone else?
John Maria, 190 Manson Street. Thank you for the opportunity to
Sign the
speak.
paper as well, please, sir.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I wasn't aware the public was able to. I just want to make a quick statement. I've previously spoke at the council meeting in support of Collie Stadium. And I just want to clarify, this meeting is so very important for the future of Lowell. As people had previously said, this is the largest high school project in the state, the largest construction project in the city of Lowell. And I would urge the board to keep the plan in front of them of what we are assembled here for, and that is really Article 97. We're not here to talk about female sports, male sports, and who's losing out and who's good. That, I think we ought to commend the manager for bringing this opportunity of these new fields to us, and that can be discussed further in the future. Right now, you're here to discuss Article 97 as pertaining to the Colley Stadium, and I think it's too important for the city of Lowell for this board to lose track of that, and I urge you to vote in favor of removing Article 97 so the process can move forward fairly and have a fully researched process for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay.
Hi, it's Peter Martin, 62 Parkview Ave. I think, like most people, I had no intention to speak tonight. And our little group, we asked everyone to not spam, to just speak to their own personal experience. So I had no intention of speaking, but the thing that does bother me, that is James Martin Field, is named after my late uncle, in large part because when we were kids, my cousins Pat, Tim, and myself had great fields. My cousin Casey and my sister had whatever was offered, usually a baseball field, when the boys weren't playing. The one thing I do take exception to here is that it's a substandard field. It is not a substandard field, it's the best field in the state. And I watched my sister play there. I actually just put together that Armin's daughter must be Tabitha Hebert, who was one of the best athletes I've ever seen play, period. Those fields are important, and that field on the left there, the multi-purpose field that doesn't have an outfield fence, is not even close to as good a field as what is there right now. And if that's the best case scenario, I think you need to seriously reconsider whether this matches the idea of surplus and replacing the fields as they are. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Parks, my name's Eric Nelson. I live at 208 Fairmount Street. I was not planning on speaking tonight. I've been before you guys for Shed Park and Lowell Junior High football, but tonight's a different matter. Let me get this done. So as I think many folks know, I am in support of the high school being sited at Colley Stadium, and I know that's not the issue before you tonight. But, for the record, if you think I'm driving you nuts now, when I argue to put the high school out of Colley Stadium, I will drive you, it will be beyond belief how much I will advocate if the high school going forward, regardless of where it is, does not treat the female student athletes as well as the male student athletes. I have 2 children, a son and a daughter. My 9-year-old daughter is here. She is by far the best athlete in the family. So I encourage you to keep the process moving forward and obviously take into full consideration both male and female athletes at the high school. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jay Hungate, live at 11 Westview Road. And seeing the Manning Venture Fields for the first time tonight, I'm not sure if that's the area that's surrounded by cemeteries, but it doesn't look to me like there's any parking for that field at all, as well as the proposed field at Colley is taking the parking. So again, I'm curious about the parking situations and really shocked at the blindsided nature of the Manning Ventura Fields being brought before us tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Ahern. I live at 165 Glenwood Street, And I was not going to speak tonight, but after listening to everybody, I feel compelled to speak. I have a daughter who is also a three-sport athlete at Lowell High School, and she is a student athlete. And there's a reason why the word student goes first, because the most important thing is that children are entitled to a wonderful education at a state-of-the-art facility. And I would ask you again, I am very concerned to hear about some of the information with regards to the girls' fields, and I have no doubt the City of Lowell will make every effort to make sure that the girls aren't short shrift in any way. But I think what this board needs to consider tonight, which has been indicated by others, is what's at stake here is allowing the process to go forward so that the city and the individuals who live in the city can have full information and be able to fully vet the options that are available. But I do stress that this is about sports second, education first, and the ability to have a state-of-the-art facility for all students that live in the city of Lowell. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make a point of clarification here. The girls' softball field is being replicated in the front on the Douglas Road section of the College Stadium. That will remain on the campus site, as well as that field hockey, which you see to the left. Those fields that you're talking about at Manning and Ventura, those, I believe, it's a practice football field and lacrosse fields as well. But I just wanted to make that clear that the girls' softball field is going to remain at the College Stadium site. Okay.
Anyone else wish to speak?
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I, too, was not going to say anything until I heard the discussion as it was going. My name is Samuel Polton, and although I made the mistake of continuing to reside at 16 Berkeley Drive in Chelmsford, I do own two businesses in Lowell and own property and pay taxes on 61 Market Street and 280 Totman Road. I have put a great deal of my faith and my future in the city of Lowell. Played at Hadley Field when I lived on Holden Street, went sledding on Tyler Park, was on the Lowell Heritage Park Steering Committee for its entire life, helped plan a lot of the things that we enjoy with the National Park, and bring my grandchildren to Lowell whenever I can, even though they live in New York and Framingham. I want to try to only speak to Article 97 and begin by asking you not to be the board that stops the process. I have faith in everything I've seen so far in this project that a lot of elected and appointed officials are giving a great deal of time, thought, and energy into doing the right thing for not only our students, but the city of Lowell. Whether the high school is downtown or at Colley Stadium should be decided on the merits of the best educational atmosphere, the best facility, and the best location. To eliminate one location because a board does not move things forward would put a cloud on the entire process. I think it's important that there are four choices that can be debated. And in that debate, I'm sure, will be the replication of any open space that is given up to the new building. I think that our delegation, Senator Donahue and our representatives, Representative Mom, Representative Nangle, Representative Golden, are taking this extremely seriously. I think the school committee will have things to say. I think the city council, which makes the ultimate vote, will have a lot to say and do. And I think the citizens of the city of Lowell will have a lot to say about this. I think this is probably as large an audience as you've ever had, And I'd like to think that one of my businesses had something to do with that, because we've been talking about the meeting Monday, Tuesday, and today. So I think people have had a chance to come and hear you. I'm a proud graduate of Lowell High School, class of 1966. I was in the, I left a lot of blood at Colley Stadium on the field, because I was in the high school band and I wore braces. And so I was there for 3 years at every home game. When I went to Lowell High, we didn't have enough room for the freshmen. Whatever building is built, I hope will be large enough to include the freshman class. But really, I'm asking the board to do the right thing by not voting no. This isn't a vote about where the fields will be replicated. It's not a vote about men and women's sports. And it's not a vote about where the high school will be sited. That debate is going to continue and intensify, and ultimately we'll have a vote by the City Council in May. Tonight, you're given the unenviable task of needing to vote unanimously to proceed. That's all, just to move forward. And everyone will still have an audience, whether they're pro-Colley, anti-Colley, or open-minded. Tonight's vote won't stop that if you vote yes. But if you vote no, you will throw the whole process into disarray. And more importantly, whenever and wherever the high school is ultimately built, there'll be a cloud over the Parks Commission unnecessarily. I admire you for doing your job and providing parks like Hadley Field, where I played baseball, and all the other fields, a number of which have had ceremonies where I've sounded taps. Lowell has great parks, thanks to you. Please continue the tradition of protecting our parks while at the same time doing the right thing for the future of our students, the high school, and the city. Please allow the process to continue while you remain involved day to day, week to week, month to month. I trust you'll keep everything right, as I trust the council will and our state delegation. Please vote to allow the process to continue. Thank you.
Hi, Nancy McCarthy, 60 Virginia Avenue in Lowell, Belvedere. I have to disagree with the previous speaker. He says that this is not about Manning Ventura Fields, where to put it, or where to put a replacement field. It most definitely is. As we see, we have posters out here about both fields. So my position is that if we have a state-of-the-art field out at Colley Stadium, why would you want to tear that down and then put a replacement field out the other side of Lowell? For me, being from Belvedere, I didn't realize where Boston Road was. It dawned on me finally that's out where the cemeteries are. So I don't understand why, if we have the state-of-the-art field in Colley Stadium, Martin Field Complex, that you would want to tear it down and then put a replacement field out the other end of Lowell. To me, it's you know, they're talking about putting the high school at Colley and putting this other replacement field out there. You have a Lowell High School right down in the middle of the downtown, and you have the state-of-the-art athletic complex at Colley Stadium. Why would you want to mess with that? That's about it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Paul Early, and I live at 476 Pine Street in Lowell. And Jay Hungate had mentioned the parking, and that same thought had crossed my mind. And I see 4 fields plus a practice field, and not a lot of parking there. So I have some serious doubts about the parking, as being available for there. So I want to thank you for your time and for your patience with us. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, could I speak?
You ready to get out there, sir? Okay. Please.
My name's Ty. I live at 79 Fairlawn Street. I'm a part of the neighborhood, the Highland Neighborhood Groups. I'm not here representing the neighborhood group or any community. I'm just here representing my family, my kids, my 2 kids. My oldest one's 3, the other one's 20 months. He's a rebel. But I'm here because I graduated from Lowell High School, also Middlesex Community College, plus UMass Lowell. I remember I was born in a refugee camp, come down here, don't know any English, don't know anybody. We came with just a pot and pan, survived on that, lived in Lowell Housing Authority. They put me through college. Thank you, Lowell Housing Authority. I just want to say, while I was in Lowell High, I think I got a safety concern. The 2 tunnel that I think everybody knows, when you walk through it, people get 1st and 2nd degree burn on that tunnel. When we go for lunch, for example, we don't have a field to go out for lunch, play soccer or basketball, anything like that. We go out and there's a trolley coming in between it, there's strangers walking by. So that's like, to me, safety is a big thing. And I don't want my kid or anybody kid to feel that way, to walk through to get 1st degree or 2nd degree burn, or have just a little field outside. You have to watch out for strangers, have to watch out for the trolley. You might get by the trolley, even though they're slow. But it's still a hazard. I miss out a lot. I was in a track team. We have to run around the city, which is okay. But my kid, he's attending the Voc in a toddler school. As I drive, drop him off every day, every morning. It saddened me because I look at the Voc. They have basketball, they have soccer field, they got football field, they got a track they could run around. And I'm looking at my kid, and I'm thinking about the kid in Lowell High and the future about it. How come we don't have that? How come we don't have a place for a kid to run, go outside, have lunch with a friend, stay outside, play basketball, whatever they need to do with sport. I mean, not just sport, but safety-wise. Over there's, when you compare to the Voc and when you compare to some other school out there, Lowell High right now, I mean, it's a great location right now. I mean, everything's working out good, but if we have opportunity to go to a better location, a better place where, safety is more better, physical activity is more better. I'm sorry, if my English is bad, I'm nervous, but I'm doing this for my kid, for my 2 kids. I'm usually not like this, standing up and talking to anybody, especially the audience. I'm pretty sure they're smarter than me. But at the end of the day, it's for my family. I'm not here representing anybody, not the my community, not anybody else. But I'm representing for my family. And I'm also representing for the kid, whoever I know. But thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, last chance. Okay. We'll close that portion of the program. Before we proceed, I'm going to let the board comment on certain items that they may wish to. Okay. I will start with the Vice Chairman, Mr. Finnegan.
Thank you, John. Good evening. Welcome to the board meeting. We'll have another one in 2 weeks if you'd like to come. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things, just to, well, basically make it all straight here. I do not have an opinion as to where the high school should go. I didn't go to Lowell High. My wife didn't go to Lowell High, so we have no warm, fuzzy feelings about Lowell High. But I did send my 6 kids to Lowell High. And it never, ever did we ever feel that the education they got downtown was inferior in any way. Now, I know there's a lot of anger, frustration that this board has to make a decision tonight. We're an appointed board, and it's unfortunate that it's come to this. It's unfortunate that Article 97 was found at the last minute. I would say, looking at it positively, thank God it was found at the last minute. It wasn't found 7 months from now. I can't speak for all board members. We have a few newbies here, but I've been on the board for almost 20 years, and John's been on the board for over 30 years. And every last Wednesday of every month, we go down to DPD room, and we try to do what's best for the city and the community. We try to do our civic duty. We have never been paid. We've never been given health insurance. We just do it because we like and love the city of Lowell. How did we get to this point? Let me back up a little bit. I'm going to read off some schools and see if you figure out if you see a pattern here. We've got the Pine, the Riley, the Sullivan, the Butler, the Shaughnessy, the Merklin, the Robinson, and the McAuliffe. Through the years, all of these schools have been built on park land or open space. The city never replaced any of that space. Can you imagine the city of Boston putting a school on Boston Common? Well, we did. The city did. We put it on North Common. How did Article 97 come about? Because municipalities in this city, in the state, ran roughshod over green space and parks. Lowell's probably in the mix as far as what they've done. Our job, the Board of Parks, the way I see it, is to protect the green space that's left in the city. That's it. Not about the school, it's about the green space. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Finnegan. Okay. Member Rourke?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only thing I'd like to add is I was very impressed with all of the points that brought up by all the citizens here. It's very nice to see that your voice can be heard on a simple matter such as which is before us. As Member Finnegan said, you can come to the last Wednesday of every month over in the DPW building. We'd love to see you there. But it's nice to see everyone come down here today to get together and talk about the future of all of our citizens and our children. So that's really all I'd have to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rourke. Mr. Conter?
I don't have much to say, but I just want to thank everybody for coming down tonight and expressing their feelings on how we should vote tonight. So it's when I'm new at this, so just want to thank everybody for coming.
Thank you. Mr. Roches, please.
Hi.
So I am also one of the newbies that Peter was talking about. I'm new to the board. I do also want to thank people for coming and giving their comments tonight. It was very insightful. It was interesting to listen to both sides. I'm a mom and a teacher in Lowell, and I do think that it's important for everybody to have an opinion on this. But I do also want just to point out that I do think it's important that we stay focused on the fact that we are voting on the article and not on the location. I think that's important to keep that in mind. So thank you.
Thank you. I took them in order of longevity that have been on the board. And to be politically correct, I should have went ladies first, so I apologize for that. Okay. We talk about transparency in government, and we have an opportunity here tonight to show how that works, that there is a process. The manager talks about a process, and the process does involve transparency. You know, I mean, I firmly believe that the Board of Parks should not be the deciding board as to where the high school should be located. Our job is to determine whether Article 97 is being adhered to. Let the rest of it go through that process. You know, as Peter Finnegan said, you know, our purview, you know, is to maintain and preserve all the city's lands, you know, that have been trusted under our care, to make sure that things don't happen that we don't want to. You know, you heard Mr. Connor talk about the law that we're entitled to clean air and clean space, and that's been established and re-ratified a couple of times over the years to protect us from ourselves. You know, there is a process available here, you know, to convert this land, you know, to the viable possible locating Lowell High School. That's the process. You know, the city manager has stated, you know, to believe in the process. And that process leads to transparency, that everything, you know, everything's above boards. You know, we look at it, a lot of writings in the paper, some were positive, some were negative, some were true, some were not true. That's not what we're here to discuss tonight. We're here to move forward and put that behind us and unite as a city in how we go forward, to believe in a process. You know, any process in order to be successful must have sound information and facts in order for the individuals to make an educated decision. You know, and that's what we've been provided with over the last few weeks. And that's why most of us have not had any comment as to which way we're going to vote, because we didn't have all the information. And it would have been premature of us to make a decision based on stuff we did not know. You know, the right of our citizens to the quality of life that clean water and undeveloped open space can provide is mandated by Article 97 of the state constitution. And that's what we were here to review. You know, I believe in holding these meetings and talking and things that we have met the transparency, and that we have decided and everything here that it is typical on Article 97. Do we allow the process to go forward? And it's not whether we're in favor of Lowell High being downtown or out to College Stadium. You know, it is that the process will go forward. I think that ends my comments, and I believe, Mr. Clerk, that we will call for a roll call on the vote.
Yeah, I would just, Mr. Chair, just read the prelim to the vote.
Would you do that, sir?
Commonwealth of Massachusetts. City of Lowell, before the Board of Parks vote, designated surplus and subject to Article 97 disposition parcels of land associated with 512 Clark Road and 512.1 Clark Road, which currently contain public parkland and athletic fields, hereafter Clark Road Fields, and a parcel of land at 438 Douglas Road, which currently contains the parking lot for the College Stadium, 438 Douglas. The Clark Road Fields are athletic fields and public parkland owned by the City of Lowell, located to the north and west of the intersection of Clark Road and Village Street, including an easterly portion that borders Clark Road and is within the boundaries of Tewksbury. And 438 Douglas is a parcel owned by the City of Lowell that provides parking for the College Stadium, and the City of Lowell is desirous of potentially erecting a public school on a portion of the Clark Road Fields, and as part of the potential school project, the use of the land of 438 Douglas would be altered to recreational use in connection with the school, and the city receives state funds in part to improve the Clark Road Fields and the College Stadium, and as a result, will undertake procedures in accordance with Article 97 of the Massachusetts Constitution, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 45, Section 7, and other applicable statutes concerning such potential erection of a public school, and there should be no net loss of municipal recreational use as a result of this designation, because the recreational uses currently provided by the Clark Field roads will be replicated in full if a public school is erected on a portion of the Clark Road fields. Further, additional parking will be provided if the land 438 Douglas is altered to recreational use. Now therefore be voted by the Board of Parks, that the Board of Parks of the City of Lowell by unanimous vote hereby designate the Clark Road fields and 438 Douglas as surplus and subject to Article 97 disposition.
Thank you, Mr. Gary. Okay, call for a vote, please. By roll call, please.
Chairman Linehan, excuse me.
Yes, I'm in favor.
Mr. Finnegan.
No, I'm not.
Mr. Cantor.
Yes.
Mr. Rourke.
Yes.
Mr. Roches.
Yes.
That's 4 yeas, 1 nay.
Any further discussion?
Entertain a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
I'll second
Okay, motion to adjourn, second. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your attendance and participation. Yeah, okay, thanks. I know. Shut your mic.
Peter. So how do we get your name nominated for Profiles in Courage? Well, someone has to be at the top. Seriously. Good luck. Good luck. I came here to make sure you had a friend in the gallery. Pardon? No. Don't you worry about it. You have more friends than you believe. Well, someone's going to make the stand. Hey, look at this way. Reverend Theodore Edson was kicked out of his church for a solid year for taking the same stand. I don't know who he is. The rector of St. Anne's Church, Kirk Boop, kicked him out of his church for a solid year because the owners of the mills wanted to use South Common for manufacturing purposes, and he wanted to preserve South Common for open air spaces.
There you go.
And he says, no, leave it open space. And you did the same thing. For a solid year, they kept him out of his church.
Okay.
And he prevailed. And in your 2017's Reverend Dr. Edson. Yeah, so, Right always prevails. He prevailed. He prevailed. Good luck.